Morning, everyone, and thank you for participating or joining our Wednesday workshop. We will begin promptly at 11:30, so bear with us as we wait for more attendees to join us. It is presently 11:28 a.m. Thank you again. Jeremiah, if you're in the room and can hear me, could you please shoot me a message? I cannot find you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tremaine Hickson. I am the manager of community impact here with LCMC. We are delighted that you have joined us this Wednesday morning for our workshop. Our That's going to focus on all about electronic money. We have a wonderful speaker. Her name is Miss Denise Hill. She is the director of community impact with LCMC. She's going to be sharing with you a lot of the information in this area. I see some new faces that are here this week. Welcome. Thank you again. Um, I would like for you all just to place some comments in the chat for me really quickly. For the last 3 weeks, you have been participating in our financial literacy classes with us. Have you learned different information or some information that you've never learned before by participating in the workshops? If you could just go into the chat and just place some of your answers there so that I can see. Let's communicate for a little while as we're waiting for the slides to come up and for our presenter to become fully activated in this system. I see some of our presenters from the previous workshops of here. I see Deb, I see Ann in the audience with us today. I see Barbara. They've been presenting for the past 3 weeks, and we love to hear your feedback. Don't be shy, go into the chat. Have many of you been that are here today been in the workshops for the previous weeks? Yes, no? Raise your hand. Place it in the chat for me. I see some of your faces. No? Okay, Estelle. This is your first time, Jandon? Welcome. Miss Cho, I've seen you in the classroom before. Florence, first time. Welcome, Florence. Thank you for joining us this week. Melinda, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I hope that you all will learn a whole lot of information today. Oh, there's something going on with the connection here. We're using a different system. This is what our third week using the system, second week. So we're still working out the kinks, ironing out the kinks here. Let's see if I could see people on. All right, here we are. Thank you for your patience today. I'm going to type my email address inside of the chat. Again, my name is Tremaine Hickson. And if there should be any questions that you have after this workshop and you need a little bit of extra assistance, maybe you're looking for a little assistance regarding your educational goals, more assistance regarding employment goals, you can feel free to shoot me an email at any given time and we can work through or we can discuss what your goals are. And I can help you to navigate through those goals to ensure that you are reaching your highest heights and accomplishing the success that you desire. So my email address is placed into the chat. And again, you can feel free to reach out to me at any given time with any questions regarding these workshops or personal goals within educational or employment. And we're still waiting for a connection here. Again, I thank you for your patience. Okay, here we go. Yay! Welcome. I was just explaining to the classroom that we're still ironing out the kinks of shindig. So, anyone, your
I'm
presenter,
sorry, I'm still having technical issues. I don't know what's going
okay,
on.
it's okay.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you well, and I can see you. You're a little fuzzy, but I can see you.
I'm sorry, say that. I can't not hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, so as you can see, I'm on my telephone because for some reason on my computer, it will not let me access my camera or my microphone.
Okay. No, she just went out.
Okay,
Okay.
I quit. I'm not touching anything else. This is not. I'm gonna stay on the telephone, and we're gonna talk all about electronic money.
All
Um, that's what we're going to do. Now, I shared with you, Tremaine, the Google PowerPoint. I don't know if you're able to download that and
we see
share it for me because I will not be able. Yes, I do. Is that the one I created?
that's
Okay,
what you created.
wonderful. Well, let's get started talking about it. Um, I'm going to try to find a place to post this up so that I don't make everybody dizzy.
Okay.
It's
Well,
going
everyone,
to have to be
Denise Hill
there.
is going to be instructing you today. So I'm in the background.
Yes.
All right. Take it away.
Okay, so do I just say next slide for you?
Yes.
Okay. So what we're doing today, we wanted to spend some time talking about electronic money. I know we spent some time talking about banking. And what we do know is that there are many people who spend money electronically, sending it to family and friends or receiving it from family and friends, depending on what you do for employment. There are even employers who are starting to pay uh, digitally. Of course, direct deposit has always been a type of digital payment method, but there's a lot of rules, regulations, pros, cons, good, bad about using electronic money when compared to cash or checks or even credit cards. And so that's what we wanted to talk about today. Um, we want to talk about what electronic banking is, what is electronic money, give you some examples of some various apps, compare these apps, talk about pros and cons, and hopefully you'll get to able to determine for yourself what's best for you to do when it comes to your own money, to send it, and receive it. So you can go ahead and change the slide for me. And now, if I don't know if I can see a chat, but I would love to know how many of you already use money electronically, and how many of you already use money electronically, and if so, then what apps do you use? So, do you receive money from friends? Do you PayPal? Send money? Do you
Denise,
purchase things and
Denise,
using? Yes,
your connection,
yes.
you sound a little bit robotic, so we aren't able to make out some of the words.
My good. How do I sound now? Let me try to get closer to a window. Am I better?
You're better now.
Okay, I do apologize, folks. We'll do how to Zoom when your technology doesn't work right next class. Um, yeah, so if you can put in the chat whether or not you send or receive money, and how you send or receive it. Do you use PayPal? Do you send money to family and friends around the globe using Cash App? Do you receive money from a job? Do you have an online store and you use PayPal? Just put some information in the chat. And Tremaine, if you could tell me if anybody responds to that, that would be awesome. How do you use electronic money, and in what platforms do you use it?
Alexandra said Venmo and PayPal. Emily said Zelle to send and receive.
Okay. Venmo, PayPal, Zelle. Um, there are
West,
different pros and cons to all of those. Anyone else?
Western Union.
Western Union. You know, if this was 10 years ago, that would be considered electronic money. Now it's simply regular money sent electronically, and I'll explain the difference in that momentarily. Anyone else?
Florence and Jandon said TransferWise, bank to bank. Another
Hmm.
Maria Asil said MoneyGram.
MoneyGram is similar to Western Union, and I'm wondering if bank to bank is a bank in this country and a bank to another country, or bank to bank here within the United States. And that's probably a conversation for a different day. But if you're sending money bank to bank here, the question would be why couldn't you use all the services in one bank? And what are you gaining or losing from sending from bank to bank? But you can go to the next slide. There is a difference in sending money electronically and utilizing electronic money. I'm not sure why it went through an FBI file and it looks kind of redacted, but electronic money, let me try to, I can't make that larger. If you could read that definition for me, Tremaine, that would be helpful. I can't hear you.
I think Jeremiah placed
Thank
it
you.
up for us. All right. So, what is electronic money? Electronic money is currency that is stored in banking computer systems. Electronic money is backed by flat currency, paper money, which distinguishes it from cryptocurrency. Various companies allow for commercial and peer to peer transactions to be made with electronic money, such as Square or PayPal. Example.
So, uh,
Okay.
yes, right there for me. Electronic money, as she said, it's backed by actual money. And that's the difference between cryptocurrency for any of you who are in like Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of those types of cryptocurrencies. That's not the same as electronic money because there's nothing backing it. So when you say something backing it, if I hold up a $1 bill, what is the difference between that $1 bill and that $100 bill? They're both pieces of paper with a picture on the front of it. Why is there more value in that one piece of paper that has $100 on it versus the one versus $1 on it? Because what that paper is saying is that there's 100 pieces of something. Our nation tends to focus on gold, but this is backed up 100 times versus this $1, which has something behind it, which has ugh, my apologies, which has something behind it that's worth one. And so we could get really deep into economics and the value of a dollar versus the value of a euro versus the value of a peso versus every country's currency. Their one holds a different value to another country's one. The point is there's something behind that piece of paper that says this one is worth something. And so when you take that from a paper form to an electronic form, you're still saying this electronic $1 has an actual valued $1 somewhere else, in this case in a bank. So when you look at some of these apps, and we'll talk about some examples now, when you look at some of these apps, many of them are connected to actual banks, actual institutions. They have to have money to back up the amount of money that's being exchanged between individuals, between businesses, between employers and employees. So some examples of these money apps, Tremaine, if we could keep tags even, that would be awesome. Let's see, PayPal. Some of you have already mentioned Cash App, Venmo. Um, Facebook has a money exchange now. I know I'm missing an awful lot, and there are more that continue to flood the marketplace every day. Are there any other common ones on that list, Tremaine, that you can see?
Okay, as you stated, there's Facebook Messenger, there's Bitcoin, there's Circle Pay, um, Samsung Pay, Apple Pay, Google Pay.
Now, all of the pays, Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, the thing that's backing those are not banks. They're your money in the bank. So, for example, if you see yourself having to sign up for a Cash App, you can receive all the money you want from someone else, but you can't send it unless you attach a credit card or a bank to it, because they want to know that this electronic currency that they're sending instantaneously is backed up by some actual money somewhere. And so they attach it to your money that is placed somewhere, like a bank or a bank that issued you a credit card. Please, please put in a chat if that does not make any sense, or if you're confused by that. You, these apps, the money is simply, electronic money is simply a different form of the same currency you've been using with paper and coins and checkbooks, and it's just a different form. It still has to be backed up by something. If you write a check for your electric bill, you have to have the amount of money that you write the check for in the bank, or the check won't clear. It's the same thing with electronic money. If you send your family $400, in Texas, you have to have $400 somewhere to back up that electronic money. And so electronic money doesn't it doesn't make it any easier to to be able to acquire money. It doesn't, there's no system. People used to play the system when it came to checks, because you used to know it would take $3, 3 days to clear. And so you might write a check on Tuesday for groceries, and you knew, or Wednesday for groceries, and you knew you would have your paycheck on Friday. So you kind of play that game, and it doesn't work that way with electronic money. You have to have that money to back it up almost instantaneously. So electronic money is just another form of money, but it still has to be backed up by something, either in your bank account, or with a bank issued credit or debit card. Any questions so far that you see? All right. There are many pros and cons. I really don't know why it's looking like this. Probably because it's coming straight from Google. If you download it and load it as a PowerPoint, we could probably see it more clearly. But there are plenty pros and cons to a to utilizing electronic money. And just in case you don't know, a pro is something that's good or in favor of using it, and a con is something that can be considered negative or a detriment, not in favor of utilizing electronic money in this case. And so some pros are it's convenient, right? You're not walking around with a wad of cash. You're not walking around with, and I don't know if this is in order because I'm having a tough time seeing the screen, but you're not walking around with a bunch of money. You don't have to go cash a check at the bank or at the check cashing place. Electronic money, you're able to send immediately. So that Western Union money or West MoneyGram that you all were talking about, that's cash money that you had to then send electronically. That's not electronic money. It's cash money that you take to Western Union. They make it electronic on their end and they send it. It's not your electronic money. It's your cash that they then that is backing up their electronic uh, form or method of sending the money that is then replaced on the opposite end of the transaction. That's still a lot of effort, right? You got to go get the money, get the cash, go down to the Western Union office. They do have ways to do that electronically now online, but you have to back it up with a bank account or a bank issued check. So it's still, and there's a lot of identity requirements that are attached to that as well. Some other pros for electronic money, Tremaine, can you see for me?
Jeremiah, if you could change this view for us, please. We are unable to see um, the presentation fully. Thank you.
And if you all who use electronic money can think of a great reason why you use it, some of the benefits to you using it, I would love to hear that in the chat. What is one of the reasons why you use electronic money? Convenience is definitely the top of most people's list. The fact that you can send money further faster is another reason. If I have family in Europe and I need to get them $1,000 quickly, for me to mail that, it would take a while. For me to do a bank transfer, it would take a couple days, if not a week. But if I want to cash app it to them, they can get it almost instantaneously on the other side of the world. And so speed and the ability for them to go for money to get someplace further faster, definitely a pro. Has anybody else experienced some benefits to electronic money? Do you see anything in the chat?
Emily says fast sending, receiving.
Yep, yep. So just like there's always something good, there's two sides to every coin, right? So there are some negatives to electronic money, many of which we're still discovering because this whole electronic world, while it's a good 5-10 years old, the frequency to which the average person uses it is relatively new, right? And so while they know how electronic money affects institutions like banks or employers who pay employees through direct deposit, the way people to people, person to person, peer to peer use electronic money, which is kind of figuring all of that stuff out now. But there are a lot of cons. The biggest one is security and privacy, right? The second you send money electronically, you can become very vulnerable depending on how you choose to send it. And we'll talk about that in greater depth in a minute. But there are varying degrees of security for each app. And depending if you're at Starbucks and somebody says, "Hey, can you shoot me $20 to pay for, this Starbucks because I'm short," and they shoot you $20 and you're on Starbucks Wi-Fi, you're exposed. Now I have access, if I have the right computer know-how, to access your Cash App while you're standing there. I can begin requesting everybody to send money, everybody on your contact list, send me some money, please, and present myself as you. Um, there are varying degrees of privacy concerning your data and your information. Some of these places share that information with others, with other third-party people. And you may not want your information shared. All of a sudden, you're getting text messages for this, and you're getting asked, to sign up for that, or your Facebook page has been compromised and Somebody's going through your Google. It's there's that is the number one issue with sending money electronically, that there is not a standard of security for all of the apps that exist. Um, there are other some pros. There are other cons. I'm sorry, against sending money. Have you experienced anything negative when you send electronic money, when you utilize electronic money, or even send money electronically? Put it in the chat for me if you have. Another con is not everybody has the same access. As you see, I have great internet access and a nice Apple computer that didn't want to work today. So any type of electronic transfer that I would want to do, I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't have access to the technology that I would need to get it done properly. For some things, for example, my bank, if I wanted to send through Zelle, they require 1 and 2 step authorization. So I'd have to go through other things that connect to other devices, and I can't do that now. But if I wanted to do Cash App since I'm on my phone, I could. So there's varying degrees of technology access that you would need to have, and not everybody has access to the same technology in terms of the internet and smartphones and laptops that everyone else does. So that's a definite con with sending electronic money, right? That's one of the reasons why it hasn't taken off as much as it has, because there are some pockets in this country alone that don't even have internet access. If they don't have a cell phone where they can utilize the Wi-Fi from the cell phone, then they won't even have access to the internet. So how am I supposed to send something electronically? That's the question. And so that's a definite con when it comes to sending electronic money or utilizing electronic money. Have you experienced anything negative that somebody has in the chat?
Emily stated she sent money to the wrong person.
Ah, yes. All it takes is,
I have
Nikki 37 to be Nikki 37 exclamation point, and all of a sudden somebody else has all your money. And you can request them to send it back if you want. You will likely not see it ever again. And depending on the institution who you're sending your money through, will depend on whether or not they have a policy in place for resolving that, or whether or not your money's just gone. Yeah. So Cash App is, for example, one of the ones that is the most vulnerable. I know I mentioned that before, but Cash App has a credit card that you can use, and the intent behind it is great, because not everybody has access to credit cards. And so if it's your money, they issue a credit card so you have access to your money. And now they're Square owns Cash App, and they're trying to set themselves up as a bank. So they have routing numbers and account numbers so you can do your direct deposit to your Cash App account and all this wonderfulness. But the Cash App credit card is the least secured credit card anywhere. So you go swipe one place and your number is stored or taken out of thin air, because this is electronic. So all of these radio waves and stuff that go through us, if you have the right devices, you can literally grab data and information out of thin air, and people can begin utilizing your money, or wipe out or clean out your entire Cash App account. So this type of security, privacy issues are at the top of the list of cons when it comes to electronic money, utilizing it as well as sending money electronically. And then access is another one. So then the question becomes, well, which Cash App platform, I'm sorry, which electronic money platform, if you have to use it, is the best one for you? And the answer is, I don't know. I can't tell you what's the best for you. You have to decide, why am I using it? Can you move up to the next slide? There's some things that you have to think about. You have to think about why you're using electronic money and why you're sending electronic money. Nope, where the man is. Yep, right there. Some things for you to think about. Your reasons for sending money. Are your reasons because you need to pay employees? Is it because you support a family in another part of the country or the world, and they need money coming in consistently? Is it because you don't want to keep physical money with you, because maybe you're in a less secure place than some people, and you don't want somebody robbing you or something, so you keep everything electronic? There's a number of reasons why people send and receive money electronically and utilize electronic money. You need to keep in mind your why, because that may affect how you use it and which platform you choose to utilize when you do send or receive money. You also want to think who you're sending it to. Those same challenges that you may have concerning security, privacy, and access when it comes to electronic money, the person who you're sending or receiving money from may have those same problems. It's not even a may, that's a universal problem. And so you don't know if that person is using an unsecured line to send you money, and you probably haven't thought about whether or not you're using an unsecured line to receive money. And so, it's affecting you whether or not you're thinking about these things from their side and your side, because both persons' information can be compromised very easily. Your privacy can be compromised very easily. And so these are things that you want to think about. They're coming from a country where internet access is low and everyone is utilizing the public Wi-Fi. You're more exposed than if you're like in our LCMC office and we have a secured Wi-Fi and you're just using our Wi-Fi. Now, mind you, we have an office in the library. So we have some people who come in and they use the library Wi-Fi, which is open to everybody, thinking they're on our private Wi-Fi. And you're exposed on the library Wi-Fi because it's public, but not on ours because it's private and we're in the same building. So these are some of the things that you have to think about. Who are you sending it to? How often do you transfer money? If you transfer money relatively consistently, then it probably benefits you to utilize a platform that's more secure and more capable and experienced with handling money and transferring electronic money consistently. So, a bank, for example, they have measures put in place that ensure your money. They have fraud departments that will allow you to get money back if you need your money. And you can be like, listen, I do this every week. So you know that extra charge was not me because if it's inconsistent with what I do every week. You send money by Cash App every week, they don't even have a customer service phone number for you to call them to say, yo, this is going on with my money. Can I get it back? So be mindful of how much you send it. If you just send, your daughter some money to go to McDonald's once a month, that's not as big a deal as if you're making sure, your child support payment goes through every other week or every week. So you have to keep that in mind. How often are you sending money? Because it may affect which one you choose to use. How much your transactions are. This has become huge because some of the IRS rules have changed, right? There are some people who have what's called side hustles. They make money on the side doing things that they're good at, but it's not necessarily set up as a business. So, for example, let's say you go to the grocery store, you buy a case of mangoes, you cut up the mangoes, put them in sandwich bags, you stand on the corner on a hot summer day, and you sell each sandwich bag for $1. And then you make all of that money and you do it all by Cash App. You tell people, Cash App, $mangoes. Just Cash App me $1, take your mangoes. That way you're not standing on the street corner with a bunch of cash in your pocket, right? So if you know that that's taking place, it's $1, but those dollars are going to add up to maybe $1,000 by the end of the day. You may want to utilize something that's set up for commercial for commercial transactions and not necessarily personal transactions. But also you got to be mindful that once you tip that $600 mark, you're now going to get a 1099 and be required to pay taxes as a business, as opposed to you thinking, oh, I was just making $1 1,000 times on the street corner on a summer Saturday. Does that make sense? Because that $600 tax rule is new, and a lot of people think that it applies to all money that's sent electronically. And they're like, look, I had somebody the other day was like, listen, I'm gonna send you $1,000 for, just for whatever reason. It wasn't business related. They were just sending me $1,000. And I'm gonna send you $599 today. And then tomorrow I'm gonna say, like, it doesn't work that way. Okay? Because they add it up. I don't care if you send me $1 600 days straight. Once it hits $600, if they believe it's a business expense, they're going to look for you to pay taxes on it. And you have to know that things like Cash App, PayPal, they don't care to distinguish if your money is necessarily, not PayPal so much, but Cash App, especially Facebook, all the pays, they don't care to distinguish if your money is for a legitimate business or a business expense, or you were sending it to your aunt or your cousin. They see money coming through, they're going to send you a 1099 at the end of the year. And it's your job now to defend your expenses. Unless you go with somebody that's reputable, or unless you go with somebody who understand your transaction history, which is why I said you need to consider how much you spend, how frequently you spend it or send it, and to whom. Okay? Because different things like these tax laws pop up out of nowhere and they can affect you and everybody else who's sending money electronically. And that's because, like I said at the beginning of this, they're still kind of trying to figure out how it affects the average person. Well, they realized the average person was making a lot of money without paying taxes because they were telling people to pay them by Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. And that wasn't, they weren't keeping track of that stuff. They could easily say, no, my cousin sent me, $5,000 cash just cause. No, they paid for, you to be the wedding planner at their wedding, and that was a business expense that you need to pay taxes on. So stuff is starting to catch up with a lot of these apps, and if you don't pay attention to how and what you use and why, it'll begin to affect you. I think I have one more question there. What devices? Not every app that sends money electronically, not every app that allows you to utilize electronic money works on every device or every operating system. Okay, and right now there's really only two main operating systems. There's iOS, which is Apple products, and then there's Android, which is, if you have a Mac computer or anything other than Apple, it's typically run off of an Android. There's other operating systems that exist, but those are the two most prominent ones, and they both don't carry everything. So, for example, I believe if you scroll up, there'll be some more. There's a graphic to kind of demonstrate this. And if you have any questions, just kind of put it in the chat and let me know. No, we're going the wrong way. Wrong way. Oh, here's some questions. Slow down right there. Right. Go back, go back, go back. Some questions to ask about the app as you decide which ones to use. So we just talked about questions that you need to consider when you think about which ones to use. As you look at these various apps, there are some questions you should ask. What's their privacy standards? Now, most people, when they go sign up for these apps, give your name, give your maybe address, your phone number, your email, and then there's this little box that says terms of agreement, privacy policy, and they say check this that you've received this. And both the terms of agreement and the privacy policy are what's called hyperlinks, meaning if you click them, you can actually see what you're agreeing to. But most people don't click them to find out what they're agreeing to. They click the little box so that they can get on the app. If there is anybody on this call who has ever read their terms of agreement or the privacy policy of any of your apps, please put it in the chat right now. I will wait. Nobody. I see you laughing. No, we don't. We just want to sign up for the app. So we click OK. Even if that policy says we share your information with third-party providers, even if that policy says we do not ensure the security of your money, or the policy may say we only secure the security of your money up to $500, and you're sending 10 grand every other month. That means if something happens to your 10 grand, you're only getting 500 back. But you didn't know that because you didn't read the terms of agreement or the privacy policy. So when you look at what apps to use, it's a lot of legalese, meaning it's a lot of complicated conversation. But oftentimes you can go on Google and just look for the reviews of a particular app and pay attention to what people are saying. If they're saying somebody hacked my account and I couldn't get in touch with customer service, that's a red flag. If they say I've been using this app for 10 years and I've never had an issue, that's awesome. If they say I lost my money, I sent it to the wrong place, but their customer service helped me and I got it back within a month. Now you're getting more information, and that's kind of one way to bypass reading the terms of agreement and the privacy policy, but you should read it. They put it there so you have access to it, knowing that nobody's going to read it, but it secures them legally because they can always say, well, you agreed to losing your money. That's not our problem. And they would be perfectly in the right to do so. So pay attention to the privacy policies. Let's say, does it work simultaneously? Internationally, I'm sorry, does it work internationally? Not every app will send money to electronic money to another country because they don't always convert. Not every app converts automatically. If you're sending it in dollars, and you're sending it to a country that's in euros, it doesn't always convert to euros over there. And if they're not able, whoever you're sending it to, able to convert it when they pick it up, then they'll have to pick up dollars, and that'll be a whole issue on their side, which you may or may not be concerned about. But you need to understand that that's something that can be an issue. Um, are there required minimum amounts? Some of the apps, particularly when you're withdrawing money, if you want to give the app your money, they'll let you do that all day long. It's when you want your money back that it becomes a problem, that they start tacking on fees and they want a percentage of your money, et cetera, et cetera. So you need to know what that is, because you may need to factor that into how much you send or request from someone else. Um, are there any rewards and benefits? Some apps, the more you send, they'll give you reward points for one of their third party providers, like they'll connect you to Marriott or something, and you'll get a free night. um, if you refer a friend and they sign up for the app, then they'll give you $5 towards your balance, or something like that. So sometimes they'll give you these perks and they're worth it. Sometimes they're just what's called clickbait, a way to get you to just sign up, because that $5 is not going it's going to pay for a fee later on, and that's it. It's not really going to change anything in life. So you have to decide whether or not it's worth it. And I have to Lord, get better glasses, because I have to have a bank account. Do you have to have a bank account? There you go. Again, sending money electronically and having electronic money, kind of two different things. But at the end of the day, that money has to be backed up with something else, whether it's money in your bank account or a bank issued credit card. They want to know that this money I'm sending has actual money somewhere else, that I can say is the physical version of this electronic money. So does that have to be a bank account, or can I attach a credit card? Okay, because sometimes you can have a credit card and not have a bank account. If you're not sure about those conversations, you should review the videos for the workshop series that we've done here, all about credit cards, all about banking, because it talks about both of those and the benefits of having a bank account, benefits of credit cards, and also the cons of them as well. But if you do not plan on having a bank account, then you need to know whether or not this app will work with just a credit card. And will it work with a prepaid credit card, or does it have to be a bank issued credit card? All of those different things you need to ask about. Um, Also, do they allow online and in-app payments, or does it take you to a third party? Sometimes, particularly if you're not uh, really proficient with smartphones, you may not realize that you have about a million windows open. And that's because you click something and they sent you to another website, and it looked like it was just kind of a little flash that popped up, and then the window popped up, and you didn't realize you didn't close the other site, and you just keep opening sites and sites and sites. And that benefits the people who own the websites, of course, because you're staying on their sites longer and longer, but you're not realizing that they're sending you to other people and they're not actually serving you. So you have to pay attention as to whether or not something is taking place within the place of this electronic transfer, or are you sending me other places? Because that's more of my data being shared, more of my privacy being compromised, et cetera, et cetera. Can you scroll down a bit, please? Am I able to turn it into cash? Again, they'll take your money all day long. Have you ever deposited money into somebody's bank account? They'll let you deposit money, no problem. But when you try to withdraw it, no. I need to see 2 forms of ID, and like you have to prove a lot of different things. Same thing with electronic money. You can add money all day long. You can send money, even if you're sending it electronically via Western Union or MoneyGram. You can send money all day long. It's when you're trying to get it back that you begin to be challenged, and rightfully so, because nobody should be able to just walk up and take your money. But you need to know how much of a challenge that's going to be, not just for yourself if you need to convert this electronic money into cash, but also for the people you're sending it to. If you're sending it to somebody and they don't have the ability to convert that electronic money that you sent into cash, then is it really benefiting them? You have to consider these things when you're utilizing currency in an electronic form. Okay. Is it widely accepted? Is there a difference? Is there different costs? There you go, for purchasing, for purchases versus peer-to-peer transactions. And is there an app? Is the app easy to navigate? Meaning, can you get to your answer and to what you're trying to do quickly? Now, I'm kind of speeding through this for the sake of time. Danger. Go back to danger. Watch yourself. Danger. There's some things, and you can't see them there, that it's poor PowerPoint. We'll make sure you get the actual one that shows everything the way it should be laid out. But pay attention to things like unsecured Wi-Fi, being in places where anybody can access your electronic data and information. Yes, public Wi-Fi is great because you're not paying for it, but you may end up really paying for it if you do things like send money electronically, and there is somebody who does not mean you anything good standing by waiting to take your information. Please be mindful of that. Please be careful of that. Make sure that if you're getting credit cards like a PayPal credit card or Cash App credit card, I believe Venmo has one now as well, that you are finding out how secure these cards actually are. Do they have a high rate of fraud? Do they have, is it easy for people to break into these electronic methods and take my information and request money from other people and pretend they're me? It's called spoofing and spoof and make people believe that they're actually talking to me and sending me money when they're really not. And again, if any of this happens, are you going to give me my money back? Can I even get a hold of you? There's a lot of red flags that you need to be mindful of. I'm not sure if you can get to it, Jeremiah, but there was a chart there that compared the various forms and showed the different payment method amounts and things of that nature. Can you see it on your end? No, it's not that far back. It's not that far back. I'm not sure where it is. Slow down. It will be right before that. Yeah, it's just all over the place. I apologize for how this is showing up. But there are things like, for example, if you use PayPal, and I need you all to start putting some questions in the chat or raising your hands if you have any questions about electronic money, the pros, the cons, what it actually is, where it's starting to transition to, how it can be used, which you should be concerned about. I need you to start putting some questions in the chat or raise your hand, excuse me, if you have any questions. But understand there are fees to these as well. So for example, if you want to withdraw money from Cash App, they'll let you do it immediately. No problem. It's just going to cost you 10% or 1%. It's going to cost you a percentage of your money. I believe it's 1%. So for every $1, you're paying a penny. Every $10, you're paying 10 cents. It's going to cost you if you want your money right now. But it's my money. Why should it cost me? Oh, it won't. You can go the standard route and it take 3 to 5 days. And of course, they know one of the benefits to electronic money is speed. So they're going to ask you to pay for the speed. So you got to be careful of that. Same thing with PayPal. PayPal, if you don't send it as a friend, they assume you're sending it as a business. They're going to take their percentage, then they're going to report it to the IRS, and you're going to have to pay taxes on that as well. Venmo as well. And I'm using those three because those are the three most popular. But things like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Apple Pay, these are things that are becoming more and more common ways for people to just, oh, I don't have to carry a wallet. I can just touch my phone to the register and everything be free. You need to pay attention to the percentage that you're paying for that convenience and decide whether or not it's really worth it, or whether or not physical money or a credit card or some other way to utilize your money is a better way for you to spend money and save money, or if the convenience is worth it. Are there any questions? So I hope we've given you some things to think about. I really want you to think about how you use your money electronically. Just like Zoom classes and Shindig workshops, this virtual world is not going away. It is not going away. And at some point, it's going to get to a point where cash is being accepted less and less. One of the benefits, one of the pros that show up often when people talk about electronic money is its cleanliness. So what happened during COVID? You find that many places are like, we don't accept cash. You have to download the app and scan their QR code, or you have to use a credit card, anything for them to not have to touch. So this type of currency is not going away. And slowly but surely, you'll be pushed in more and more into finding a platform online for you to be able to send money and for you to be able to receive money and for you to be able to convert your physical money into electronic money so you can send and receive it. So if you haven't done so yet, begin thinking about, am I on the right platform? Am I using the right platform? Is this going to protect me? Is this going to protect the person who I'm sending money to? Is it going to protect my privacy? Is there a plan in place for fraud? Or is my money insured in any way? You need to begin asking those questions, because once that privacy is compromised, it's very hard to resolve. Not once they take your money. If you send your money to the wrong person, that's one thing. If I get into your account, and it's not very hard to find people who have been scammed, who's logged into their account and it's empty. It's not very hard to find those people who exist. If any of you are on here who have had or experienced that, please be a testimony to others, so that you know that you've got to begin to ask these questions of yourself as this stuff becomes more prevalent, as your employers begin to push. You have to use direct deposit. Like, there are so many employers that are saying that we're not writing checks anymore. We're a paperless company where you have to have direct deposit. That means you either have to have a bank or you have to have one of these electronic platforms that have a routing number and an account number. And so, well, which one is there? Which one's the best for me? Which one should I use? Which one won't take my money and which one will protect me the most? That's really what it boils down to. And not just you, but if you're sending money electronically, the person who you're sending it to as well. Are they protected? Is it only the money that you're receiving that's protected, or is the money that you're sending protected as well? Because if something falls short on their end, are you able to recoup that and try to send it again? Or is it a wrap? These are just the questions that you need to know about. So today's workshop is really about awareness, so that you can begin to ask the questions for what will work best for you and your money as this electronic world continues to expand and grow. Okay, last check for any questions or comments. Would love to hear if this helped you at all, if I gave you something to think about that you hadn't thought about before. Just put something in the chat. Great job. Thanks for sharing. This was me. I'm going to switch from PayPal to Cash App, or what have you. There's a ton of different options. And again, we'll make sure that you get this actual PowerPoint so you could see that list that we gave, so that you could begin to do some research. But there's also a ton that are coming out every single day. A new app can be developed. Any of you can develop an app and call yourself a bank. You want to make sure you have the money to back up anything that's being transferred. And if any of you do cryptocurrency and stocks, that was one of the big issues with the whole Robinhood debacle earlier this year. That's an electronic platform that allows you to buy stocks and some cryptocurrencies. And there was a time when GameStop stock shot through the roof, and they shut down their whole platform so that you couldn't do anything. It wasn't that you couldn't do anything, it's that you couldn't do anything that would compromise their money, because they only had a certain amount of money to back up the money that was being spent. And so they couldn't continue to sell anything because they didn't have the money to back it up. And if everything crashed, then they would go bankrupt. And so these types of questions need to, how much money do you have in your account to convert electronically if something happens and you need to send money quickly? Will some of the platforms that you are on and have been on for a while issue you a loan if need be, and allow you to send that and then pay it back? PayPal is great for that. And on and on. I'm babbling now, but I could talk about this forever. I just want to make sure you're getting what you need. So if there's any comments, please let me know.
Everyone said thank you. Very useful information. You've answered questions that people have been thinking about.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we'll make sure your teacher and you get this PowerPoint. We'll redo it and record it offline so that there's a video of this as well if you need to refer back to it. And just make sure that your money is safe and secure. and that you are safe and secure as well because you're important to us. Thank you, Tremaine and Jeremiah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Again, this was a lot of information. You guys have had some heavy hitters this month with presenting information regarding financial literacy. Check back with us, check back with your teachers. We do these presentations, these workshops every month. Our presenters have a wealth of information to share with you. So join us back. We'll be back with the workshops in March. We'll resume in March. Communication will come out to you through your instructors. And again, if you should need to reach me for your educational or employment goals, or you just need some direction or some guidance in some area that will help you in life in general, please feel free to reach out to me. My name is Tremaine at lcmcmd.org. That information is in your chat. Have a happy Wednesday. Bye bye. You're welcome. Bye, Fatima. Bye, Asil.